Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson in the Johnson edition. We turned out to poem 462, Why Make It Hurt? It Hurts It So. Now, this is another one of those why poems, taking us back. Do you guys remember when we did poem 193? I shall know why when time is over, and I cease to wonder why. Christ will explain each separate anguish in the fair schoolroom of the sky. He will tell me what Peter promised, and I, for wonder at his woe, I shall forget the drop of anguish that scalds me now. That scalds me now. We're back to another why poem, if you will. This is another master poem, just like 336 and 96. There isn't any evidence that this poem ever made it to Sam Boyles or anybody else for that matter. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at LearnStrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily. I'm really hopeful that you work through our set of introductory comments where we mention folks like Sam Boyles and the concept of master, as well as the preceding 461 poems. We just finished with 461, A Wife at Daybreak I Shall Be. I even said to you that in that discussion that the last line of that poem, Savior, was originally actually the word master, and we're going to hear this word master in the last line of this poem. Now, what is clear is that this is another one of those longing poems. I wish I could understand. It's another poem as well about have I given offense, and in some ways you're going to get a sense that the worst curse imaginable for Emily is to be forgotten or not remembered. She'll say it this way: why make it doubt? It hurts it so sick to guess, so strong to know, so brave upon its little bed to tell the very last. They said unto itself and smile and shake for that dear, distant, dangerous sake. But the instead, the pinching fear that something it did do or dare offend the vision, and it flee, and they no more remember me, nor ever turn to tell me why. O Master, this is misery. Now, misery will take us back to poem 293. Go back and take a look at how she used the word there. There's a lot of clear anguish in this poem. Guys, notice the use of all these dashes. It's almost as if she is replicating sobbing in a poem. And it's clear she doesn't understand why she has offended. The it in the first line of the poem we can assume is Emily. Why make Emily doubt? Because Emily hurts so, right? And then notice all of the so and then the to. So sick to guess, so strong to know, so brave upon its little bed. I told you she loves this word little. In 172 poems she uses it. Any of us that have ever been in a circumstance where we wanted to understand relationally why things weren't working out, this is perfect language to talk about it. In other words, it makes one sick to have to guess. It would make one so strong if one could know. It would, on one's little bed, to try and be brave enough to ask, to tell the very last. They said. Now the they, notice capitalized, will take us to master, right? And back to poem 461 as well. You'll remember that we said in that last line that the word Savior was actually originally master, right? To tell the very last, they said unto itself and smile and shake. You can hear all these S sounds, the sibilances in this line. For that dear, here are the D's here, distant, dangerous sake. Again, all the dashes in between each one of the words. For those of you that are trying to, and I hope it's all of you, read these poems out loud on your own. You'll notice that it's hard sometimes to know how to read Emily's poetry. Are we pausing between each one of these dashes, or are we just kind of imagining they're not there? She clearly put them there for a reason. We may not completely understand. The word but, I think, is the hinge word of the poem. But the instead, notice capitalized. The pinching, notice capitalized. Fear that something, notice capitalized, it did do or dare. Again, if the it here is Emily, what is it? And then, of course, the key word of the poem, offend the vision. Notice vision also capitalized. And it, flee. Are we talking master here? Flee. And they, again, master, no more remember me. She obviously is playing around with all of her pronouns here to almost intentionally make the poem difficult to read. in some ways, Emily is manifesting in this poem what it's clear she feels towards whoever it is she's writing about. Namely, why can't I understand? What did I do? I offended maybe in some way, and they no more remember me, nor ever turn to tell me why. In a letter that attends this is the same question. Like, why? What is it? We could make the argument that so much of Emily's project is about asking the question, why? Why must things be the way they are? And in that regards, we're back to the last of our big five, theodicy, the question of pain and suffering. She'll finish with that phrase, "Oh, Master, this is misery." And as we said, back to poem 293. Okay, what are we going to do with a poem like this at 2a? Well, I think that the argument that she's making is that friendships are in fact complicated, and it's not always clear why they're ruptured in some way. At 2b, again, the dashes are remarkable in this poem. At 3a, well, consider all of the why poems again. 193 comes to mind immediately. And finally at 3b, what was a time when this poem represents something that you felt? You knew something was wrong, you just didn't know why, and you longed to know for that, to somehow figure it out. Thank you.